Dead dogs.
Sad.
I'm not ready. I'm
Y'all strap in,
this week.
because I just read Old Yeller. My name is Taylor, and I have read the book.
My name is Evan, and I have not read the book.
And this is Illiterate. And it is
Book recaps to make you sound cooler at parties.
Let's get into it.
Old Yeller.
I read it.
You read it. I have not read it. I haven't read anything.
No.
I've never read anything.
I am the evil genius that knows all about this book, and I am going to keep you up to date. And then we're also going to talk about how you can sound cool at a party talking about this.
Yeah. Taylor reads everything. I read nothing. He tells me what I need to know, and then I go out in public, and I benefit from his hard work.
And there it is.
And now you can.
So there's 7 sections today. As always, section number 1, just a summary, quick and dirty. What the hell is this thing? And then the next 5 sections are kind of discussion points, things that I found interesting in the book.
Gonna break it down.
If you don't like one of the sections, just wait 2 minutes and then there'll be another thing that you'll be interested in.
It's not a test. You don't have to remember all 5.
Yeah, but we're going to have fun with it. And then at the end, the recap, 5 ways that you can sound cool at a party based on what we talked about. So the 5 discussion points that we're going to lay on you today.
What do we got, Captain?
Number 1, co-captain, is way of life in the 1860s. Number 2, a dog's personality. What's that all about? Number 3,
Who are you?
how expectations build suspense. Number 4, hydrophobia, or as we like to call it nowadays, rabies. And number 5,
Shocker.
the Book of the Month Club. What is that?
What?
We don't have a Book of the Month Club,
Book of
but
the
the
Month
Book of the
Club.
Month Club factors into this. So that's what we're talking about.
All right. I'm interested.
Here we go.
I'm hyped. I don't
Here
know
we
how Book of the Month
go.
Club. I have no idea how Book of the Month Club ties in, but I'm ready.
You'll find out. Anyways, enough of that. Book summary. Old Yeller.
Ready to get sad.
Old Yeller was written by your boy, the dude, Fred Gipson, not with a B, but with a P, Gipson. I went to the library
Gipson.
and I told her Old Yeller. She was like, oh, yeah. And then she was about to look up the author. I was like, Fred Gipson, but it sounds like Gibson. So she spent 11 minutes in the shelves being like, I don't think. And she's like, I know we have Old Yeller.
I don't think
I was like, it's with a P.
No,
And she said,
no,
"Oh, no."
I got it.
So Fred Gipson, he came from Texas. He was born in the early 1900s. The book takes place in the 1860s,
Oh, interesting.
but he sort of lived in the time frame after that. So he sets it a little bit in the back. But his
Yeah.
life experience, he always wanted to be a cowboy and be in
Okay.
the West and that kind of thing.
Or did he? I'm wondering if maybe he drew off of his parents, because they would have been in that. They would have been right in the thick
Yeah.
of what he was interested in.
Yeah. So that's more it was more the locale of where he was from that he drew from. But he became a writer, worked for newspapers, journalism school, all of that stuff, and then started writing. Back in the day, it was more you wrote little short pieces and things like that for magazines, and that's how you got paid. It was not as lucrative to just write out a whole book. So he made a living doing that, little stories, little things about the West and about, that was popular at that time. People were sort of
Right.
fascinated with the Western genre. So then he came out with a book called Hound Dog Man, which is not Old Yeller. I feel like is more of a child's book, or traditionally that's what it's in. I had to go to the kids section in the library. And they glared at me. But Hound Dog Man is much more serious and more adult in its themes. I haven't really looked that much into exactly what it is. But that got him on the map. And then it's funny because on Old Yeller, it says by the author of Hound Dog Man. Like that was
He loves
what he was going to be known for.
He
Yeah.
loves dogs, man.
Yeah, so it came out in 1956.
1950.
The Disney movie immediately followed in 57.
Oh, wow.
But like I said, it was about the 1860s and a family in that time period. Sold 3 million copies by 1973.
Wow.
Which is a lot for a book in that time period.
So so you actually have the book, the physical book here.
From
you
the
did not
library.
listen to this one.
No, I read it.
How long did it take you?
Not very long, just a couple hours. It's big font. It's for kids. It's only like 150 pages or so.
tiny.
Yeah. So, and then the writing style is super simple.
Yeah.
It's from the main character being an adult talking back about being a kid,
Mhm.
which is always a great narrative device because then you have the...
Just imagine Richard Dreyfuss's voice. I got Stand By.
Can you do it?
Oh, God. No.
Yeah. I think I can't recommend an audiobook, but I'm sure there's a good one that has.
I did see
kind of
one
a
for
little-
$20 on Amazon.
That's pretty good.
That was the highest. This is a cheap book. This is a cheap book. The lowest I saw I won't mention the highest. I did mention the highest. The highest was $20 for the audio CD, but the lowest I saw was $1.48, I think.
You
$1.48.
could probably find it in a gutter. If you just looked hard enough.
Oh yeah, just
in
go
30
out in
days,
the street.
yeah, you'd be like, oh, there's Old Yeller.
Yeah, if you decided today, I want a copy of Old Yeller, you could probably acquire one in 30 days for free without really trying.
And you can't steal from the library.
Don't steal. I mean,
right. If you,
I mean,
you would
genuinely
happen upon
have.
it.
Yes, you can't.
True.
Don't go breaking laws. This is a positive podcast.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's pretty simple, pretty easy, pretty fun as well. Kind of just bop 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 from one thing to the other. Good little children's book as far as, you know, you get to the end of the chapter and you're like, what's going to happen next? He's got kind of that writing style. So I was engrossed in it.
Keeping them on the edges of their seats.
I was on the edge of my metro train seat because there was something spilling on it, and because this book.
You went, got up real quick and went to the other side of the car.
Is that coffee or? Yeah. Also, what's going to happen next?
So do you have an example? Do you have an excerpt you'd like to throw out?
Okay, I'll just read you a little piece. Why, you thieving rascal! I shouted and kicked at him as hard as I could. He ducked just in time, so that I missed him by a hair. But nobody could have told I missed after the way he fell over on the ground and lay there, with his belly up and his 4 feet in the air, squalling and bellowing at the top of his voice. Mama came running to stick her head through the door and say, "What on earth, Travis?" "Why, this old stray dog has come and eaten our middlin' meat clear up," I said. I aimed another kick at him. He was quick and rolled out of reach again just in time and fell back to the ground and lay there yelling louder than ever.
How odd I'm having nostalgia.
For something you never read.
For something I've never read, but it feels like, because I haven't read a children's book in, a long time now.
Yeah. It's so direct.
Yeah.
And that's what I like.
I'm noticing that immediately. I think that's where I'm drawing the nostalgia. Is like, man, I feel like I'm a child reading a story, and immediately, therefore, more engrossed in it in a way, just because I'm like, what's happening next? What's happening next?
The words are also smaller. Just to say, I shouted and kicked at him as hard as I could.
Yeah.
You don't need to say, I bellowed with such ferocity. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Why don't you take me through the basic plot here?
Yeah. Kid out on the frontier. His dad leaves to go on a cattle drive. And so he's going to be gone. And he's like, son, I need you to take care. You got a mom. You got a little brother. And you need to be, man of the household. So it's a coming of age story about this kid trying to learn
how old is the kid?
He's 14.
14.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
Because of all the stuff that happened, you're like, my God.
So he's 14 and he has a mom that he has to look after.
Yeah,
and
she's
siblings.
very independent, obviously, doing her thing. Just a younger brother.
Okay.
Who's 5 years old.
Okay.
Little Arliss, which we'll get into. He's a mess. Dog shows up. He's like, I don't want this stupid dog. His dad says when he gets back, he'll give him a horse. He's like, I don't want a dog. I'm going to get a horse here in a little bit. The dog grows on him. They bond with it. Halfway through, a guy claims the dog and ends up letting him keep the dog. He just says, I see that you need this dog right now because, you're just a bunch of rapscallion kids and this woman who can't take care of herself.
Right.
Because that was the custom at the time, was nobody could take care of themselves.
Nobody could.
Even though she's doing just fine.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, you're having a lot of trouble out here, aren't you?
Oh,
like,
just a lady, huh? Not a whole person.
Yeah. Right. He doesn't go that far in the book, but that's the implication. So they grow more attached to it. It helps them out with stuff. Of course, as we know, at the end, helps him to the bitter end, saves him from a wolf, gets rabies in the process, and then he has to shoot him. Dad comes back, says the life lesson. That's what being a man is. That's what growing up is. So you got to mix the good with the bad. It can't all be fun. But there's a little puppy that Old Yeller has, or fathers a child, that they get to keep, and then that becomes the sequel.
Oh my God.
Yeah, about the young puppy becoming a dog. And then there's a third posthumously released book called Little Arliss, which follows the little kid who's 5, and now he's 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And the main character of this is married to the girl that's in Old Yeller. I don't know if it's any good.
Interesting. I'm sure
Yeah.
Disney was hot on the heels making
Oh,
sequels.
they got yeah. They were like, boy, you got to pump out that book.
Reboot.
Yeah. But that's enough of that.
But
Just blast the levels.
moving on, blast him just like Old Yeller.
So, topic number 1 that we're talking about is way of life in the 1860s.
Everybody's learning about it right now.
This, even you, dear listener, way of life in the 1860s. So, as we said in the summary, cattle drives. They're in Texas. He's got to go all the way up to Kansas to move these cattle and sell them. Just seemed like a way of the world where in this book, there's a lot going on that I learned, at least. I'm not living in, I guess they wouldn't call it squalor, but it just seems like there's so much to daily living where it's like, we got to do this thing.
Just daily
like
life
cattle
is
drive.
so much work.
It's like my dad's leaving and he's bringing the cows up and that's just the way that it is.
Everybody playing Red Dead, you know.
Yeah. Red Dead 2,
Red Dead
you
2.
also know. But yeah, it was just wild how, everybody seemed to be on their own, but also together, which was an interesting concept that you grasp just from reading this kid's perspective of, oh, this is every day. There's times where he's even jealous because there are people doing chores that he would rather do. It's like, you're still freaking doing chores. And he's not like, oh man, if only I could go play in the river or whatever.
Right.
He's like, man, I wish I could be the one watching the corn or doing. It's just wild.
It's amazing the things we trade up for.
Yeah. That is the sentiment of that time period. Yeah. So one of the things is his little brother is just a piece of garbage, but not in the way that we would think now. Yeah. But it's just because there was such a delineation of like, you're 5, you have no responsibility.
Right. You can't do anything.
And so just lean into that. In the book, he is constantly just naked all the time. He's just running around naked. And then, somebody will show up to the door and there's little Arliss running around. They also call him little Arliss. They don't call him just Arliss. He's little Arliss until he becomes
But there is no
Arliss.
big Arliss.
No.
See, I had a friend back in school. My friend was Little Joe because his dad was also named Joe and he was Big Joe. So like that was nothing like that.
You're just
a little thing.
Yeah. And you're just running around, scampering around, bringing toads into the house, causing a scene. And so there's a conflict in the book because this kid who's now becoming a man because his dad is gone and he's 14 has to be the father to this 5-year-old because the 5-year-old just doesn't care about anything, throwing rocks at people. Plays in their stream, which then becomes their water source. So it's like, you can't be naked in the stream that we're about to drink out of. And he has to tell his little brother, hey, stop doing that. But his mom's like, look, you can't throw rocks back at him anymore because you have to run. He's going to respect you regardless because this is what you have to do now. I mean, I guess nowadays people do take responsibility for their younger siblings. But I just thought it was so interesting that this younger sibling has no responsibility until suddenly you have every responsibility.
Oh, that is interesting. At what point is it thrust onto, all right, you're working now.
At 14, now you have to do it. You're in charge. So that's the way of life in the 1860s.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking of Red Dead. Even though I know Red Dead takes place in 1890, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Somebody else. I can't wait for the
40
comments.
years.
Actually.
Totally inaccurate. Unsubscribing.
Moving on.
Second topic we got. Dogs' personalities.
This is hot. This is a hot one for me just because all y'all out there that don't know, my mom was like a big dog obedience trainer. I had dogs around all my life. And so I've seen many a personality. And it is interesting because they're just as unique as people that you meet in your life. It's kind of fascinating. So
Old Yeller, the name of the book, Old Yeller, comes about. It's a dual meaning, like any good title. It's Old Yeller because that's the way that he even says that's the way that they talk about the color of his coat. I was going to ask, is it actually yellow or yeller? I see on the front of the book, it is spelled Yeller. Yeah, the vernacular of how they'd say it. And then that's what he addresses. He's like, we called him Old Yeller because he was yeller. And he yelled. So that was part of his personality, this dog. Gotcha. Okay, I didn't know that part of it. He was like, it doesn't bark, it just yells. It's constantly just causing a ruckus. Yeah, and making a bunch of noise, and it factors into the story because when he first meets him, the mom's like, "What in the hell? Like, what in the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "Nothing. I didn't even hurt it. I didn't even kick it. I didn't do anything." And it's just on its back going. But it helps them later on because they know where it is, and it's just such a good dog as far as making a mess of things. But it's also very smart because the way that they find it is the meat is gone from the little kind of breezeway that they keep it to cure. And he's surprised because the dog looks ragged, mangy, just awful, but it's so fat from what it just ate, and it ate all this meat. And he's like, this dog has to go. We got to get rid of it. The mom says it's smart though, because it figured out how to get up there because it was too high. So it had to climb on this thing and then do all this other stuff. And it's also smart enough to not get hit by you, but still act like it's in pain. So we're going to keep it around.
Got him.
The first thing it does is going for them. It's stealing stuff all the time, howling all over the place, snatching eggs from the neighbors, but not their eggs.
Oh, funny.
So it knows it would get in trouble if it stole from them again, because they're the ones that provide, but it runs away and steals from the neighbors. And then
clever.
Yeah, they have to brand, so they leave their pigs wild out and about to root around, and then they come collect them when they're full grown. But they have to mark them with, notch their ears in a certain way because they don't brand them, but they notch them.
Yeah.
So he runs with Old Yeller and figures out a way. Old Yeller just picks up immediately about how to sort of herd these pigs, because you can't really herd them. You have to incite them, and then they chase you.
Oh,
like
really?
They don't, because they stand their ground. You don't care. They don't care about being moved to a place.
You have to matador them.
Yeah. So what? Yeah. So Old Yeller figures it out though, because he's always causing problems anyway. So he's running after the pigs, and then Travis, the main character, climbs up a tree and does sort of a rope business, hanging it loose on the ground, kind of like a little lasso. So Old Yeller will incite them, and then a pig will run after him, and then he hoists the pig up, grabs it in a chokehold, notches the ears, and then sets him back down.
Oh, wow.
And so Old Yeller just does this over and over and over again until he gets all the pigs. But he said it was to the detriment, because once Old Yeller picked up on it, he didn't want to stop. And so he's like, I'm done. But he's just up in the tree for the next 2 hours, trapped, because he keeps bringing pigs over. He's like, I can't get down. But yeah. So that's the dog's personality. And just a little tidbit, I'm huge into Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just he's saying, if you want to select a dog, a lot of people pick dogs based on how they look. And every dog breed has a different capability that it's used for. So there are some
well, that's why they were bred to begin with.
Yeah, trying to be guard dogs, or
dogs that
sniff,
that hunt and go out and find things. The dogs that go out and bring things back.
Dogs that dig really well. All of these different things. So if you have a dog, you should first be concerned with the breed. Or second, be concerned with the breed, I suppose. But first, be concerned with the temperament. So when you go select a dog, whether you select it, from whatever's available at the shelter or whatever, don't be so concerned with what the breed is as much as what the temperament is. And if it's cowering away from you, or if you bring it and it's in a group of dogs and there's one that's immediately crazy about you, jumping on you, all that stuff, it might be the cutest one, but it's probably also the most high energy and the one that you're going to have to constantly work with to bond with you. Or if there's one that's shying away from all the other dogs, it's like that one's probably not going to, unless that's your energy, but you should maybe get a middle of the road one that's in the mix of things, but also isn't crazy, inciting a bunch of stuff. So Old Yeller is definitely a high energy dog.
But it's interesting going to shelters, because I think there's such a, because it can be terrifying, and dogs react to it so differently, and so some are terrified and some don't care, but generally you're still getting a baseline of that dog.
Yeah,
and
in any situation.
So it's going to be heightened to one degree or the other, but it is going to be in a pretty accurate read of generally, is this dog going to be more open to people, more high energy, low energy, scared, interested. You're going to be able to see all that pretty quickly right away. Now, that's not to say things can't change once you take them home, because the personalities develop and context changes and they grow just like we do. But it's all about finding the right puzzle pieces that go together.
Yeah. So they found it in Old Yeller. Tragedy though, because number 3 topic of discussion, expectations build suspense. Sort of a narrative device for this book. In the second paragraph, they tell you that he has to kill the dog. I don't know if people
Oh.
realize that. They set it up. Yeah. Maybe I'll even read
Yeah,
it.
read that.
Maybe I'll even read it.
Definitely.
We called him Old Yeller. The name had a sort of double meaning. One part meant that his short hair was a dingy yellow color, a color that we called yeller in those days. The other meant that when he opened his head, the sound he let out came closer to being a yell than a bark. I remember like yesterday how he strayed out of nowhere to our log cabin on Birdsong Creek. He made me so mad at first that I wanted to kill him. Then later, when I had to kill him, it was like having to shoot some of my own folks. That's how much I'd come to think of the big yeller dog. And
Wow.
then just talks about how his dad has to leave. It's
So you got the whole story encapsulated
Yeah,
right there. You
yeah.
know exactly where you're starting, where you're going to end. But
and they build into it. So like, I'm going to go to another page.
just keep turning that screw, just like, just that wrench, just.
And that's why it's so, yeah, people in a certain generation, this is the book that's like
Yeah.
a boy and his dog and just waterworks at the end.
Marley and me,
Yeah.
a flood out the door.
I watched that on the airplane. No embarrassment.
No, just
Weeping.
full
puddles
public,
on the
just
floor.
out.
And I was in the middle seat, so these people were trapped.
I like to think that maybe that they were also touched.
Yeah, they're like, what in the world? Yeah, if you ever want to really lose your self-consciousness, middle seat Marley and me, that's...
If you want to get it, if you want to just a nice little social experiment, next time you're on a 2-hour flight, just queue up Marley and me in that middle seat. You'll see who's real.
Who's your friends?
Yeah.
I don't even think I was sad either. I was just like, I needed it.
Yeah.
I needed that release.
Sometimes you do.
Like on page 66 of Old Yeller, he says, "It made me mad, you thieving rascal. I said I gotta get a club and break your back in 14 different places."
Oh, go.
But I really didn't mean it, and I didn't say it out loud and ugly. I knew that if I did, he'd fall over and start yelling like he was dying. And there I'd be, in a fight with little Arliss again. "When they shoot you, I'm gonna laugh," I told him. But I knew that I wouldn't. My thoughts about the book and the character and everything was more coming from things like Lassie or other classic dogs that are the helpers and the really, Captain America kind of dogs.
Right.
And Old Yeller is a piece of trash. He's causing more, you know what I mean? He's such a character and such a personality.
You give him some lip and he's throwing over, yelling, and acting like he's dying.
Yeah, causing problems, stealing stuff. So I think that was a surprise to me that
he wasn't a perfect dog.
Right,
Because he wasn't perfect, he was.
Yeah, and he helped them when it counted, and he just had that kind of goes back to the personality. But the expectations also building the suspense of things, more than just Old Yeller kicking the can, was the kind of moral and societal thing of, oh, you have to grow up. And that's set up at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this is about. This is about you becoming a man, understanding the household, taking responsibility for your actions, the ultimate responsibility of this dog that you've come to love, which you've started to hate now that you have to kill. But that's a part of the larger...
He has a responsibility to the dog.
Yeah.
You have no other choice, because to do anything else would be inhumane.
Yeah. Expectations, building the suspense. Old Yeller does it right.
Mm-hmm.
He does it right. Number 4, not somber, hydrophobia, rabies. I knew nothing about this, but I was fascinated by it. So I did a little digging, and I might be completely wrong because I'm not a scientist. But hydrophobia is what they call it in the book. They never mention it as being called rabies. And
hydrophobia.
Yeah, and so the reason for that is, what do you think hydrophobia means?
Hydrophobia sounds like you're afraid of water.
Right, and so fear of water. You are correct in that assumption. It's not a fear of water like you're going to go swimming. It's a fear of water drinking. So rabies as being the foaming at the mouth and all of that stuff. So rabies propagates in the salivary glands. And so if you swallow, it messes with the virus. And if you were able to swallow a lot, it would help in the curing of the process of rabies. So rabies is characterized by a very dry mouth, and it messes with your mind also. So I wouldn't recommend looking up the YouTube videos, but people that have rabies, you try to give them a glass of water and they can't get it down.
Jeez.
So that's where the fear of water comes from.
Okay, yeah, I had no idea.
Is because that's where the virus rests and where it proliferates, and so it's protecting itself biologically from allowing you to do that and drinking a bunch of water. Yeah.
That's tight.
So rabies is everywhere except Antarctica. It's in
Weird.
all the continents. Well, I guess it's too cold.
Too cold.
And there's nothing to... It's too much water. You just die immediately.
Nah!
And then the other thing that's interesting is for dogs, 99% of dogs get rabies from other dogs.
Mm-hmm.
90% of humans get rabies from bats. So watch out for bats.
Bats.
Yeah. That's where.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I would have never known that.
Yeah.
Because this is the classic thing. Everybody, you adopt a dog, doesn't have all of its shots, doesn't have its rabies shot. No, I got to go get its rabies shot because you absolutely have to do it. And this is what's on everybody's mind, because if you don't, it's going to end up like Old Yeller. That's right. I swear to God, like that's being said every time one of those dogs is being like let out.
That's where it comes from. This popularized rabies, hydrophobia.
Golly. Hydrophobia. I never knew it was a lot.
That's the science of it.
I love that it messes with your mind. That's my favorite thing about it. That made me
it's
really.
The worst thing about it.
Well, it makes me way more interested in it. Is that it's,
well, you know, rabies, you go crazy. I mean, it's you're wild. It's like, oh, you see that?
Get that water out of here.
Yeah. I don't know.
We get alien in science.
Yeah.
Like, ah!
I can't drink right now. Why? I don't
know. Get that out of here. Smacking. I love smacking glasses out of.
I don't know how much it messes with your mind in that way. It definitely constricts your throat, but it's also like, I can't do this. Yeah.
I'm imagining it outwardly going, no, get that away from me.
Also, you're like really sick. It's not like you're just sitting at Arby's being like, yeah, I'll have some. And you want water? No.
Get that out.
I've got hydrophobia.
Yeah, it's not like you're fine and
you're in a hospital.
Like, you want some water?
Yeah. Misconception. Yeah, so that's number 4. Number 5.
Best conception. Go.
Book of the Month Club. So
here we go. This is what I wanted to know.
The reason.
What in the world?
The reason Old Yeller is popular is because it was on Book of the Month Club. Book of the Month Club was started in 1926, and it is a subscription service where they would pick 5 books for that month. You get to pick one. They send it to you, and then you get to read it.
Wow.
And so
1926?
It started in 1926, and it has been known
the OG Netflix.
It has been known for putting out the hits. So they're like the A24 movie studio, if anybody's familiar with that, of just finding the hot books, because they purposefully are putting out stuff that's like, well, we think this is going to pop.
Material.
We think this is... So 1926, year 1, they put out The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, wow.
People went bananas for it. 1936, No Name Woman, Margaret Mitchell wrote Gone with the Wind.
Wow.
They put that piece out.
Wow.
1951, Catcher in the Rye.
An all-star list, my God.
It still exists.
Really?
They revitalized it. They have 300,000 Instagram followers.
Holy dude.
It's $15 a month.
Okay.
But they give you the list of 5 books, and then you pick one, and then they send you one.
Do you do it?
And if you want... No, I do not. I just learned about it. But yeah, this is where this one came from.
Very interesting.
They had it on their list, and people were like, this is the jam.
So it started in 1926, putting out the hits. When did it go away?
So I couldn't find where the lull is in the thing, but they did have a resurgence in the late 2000s.
Oh, okay.
That really, I think, obviously,
so the last
advent of the internet.
Has been...
Yeah.
Cool.
They were bought by Time Inc.
Oh.
in the 70s. And I don't know if they probably didn't really go as crazy. They probably kept it as a service, but didn't
probably weren't on the cutting edge of the internet.
If you've been a Book of the Month member and know all of the ins and outs of the trials and tribulations of this organization, email us. Illiterate.
Because we're interested.
At email.com. That's the email. I got it, y'all.
And if you're listening out there and you want to create an email account for us, go ahead and do it.
It's illiterate at email.com. I shit you not.
At email.com.
Yeah.
At email.com?
Yes.
How did you get email.com?
Because I'm savage.
That's insane.
Illiterate at email.com.
I thought you made that up.
No.
I thought that was
real.
Joke. I really thought that email.com was a joke, and that's how I knew it was bullshit.
No, it's probably going to be a terrible service provider, but it was free. Because I didn't want Gmail. And I couldn't get nobody has email.com, so I could just get illiterate at email.com.
Email.com. At email.com. Well, there you go, folks. Illiterate at email.com.
All right. We're done with that.
God.
Book of the month. Amazing. Y'all, we're on to the best part.
Yeah.
How to make you sound cooler at a party.
Oh, yeah.
You going out tonight? It's Friday, maybe. Who knows?
It's Friday. It's Saturday. Hell, maybe it's a quiet Sunday. And you're
What are we
just having
talking
a
about? Let's
little
just get
wine
into it.
and
What are we
cheese
doing?
in.
The big five. Ways of life in the 1860s, number one. That's what we talked about.
Mm.
An interesting thing that they mentioned that I had to look up at the end, right at the climax of the book.
Yeah.
Your boy, Old Yeller, getting trashed by this wolf. He's got to run out there in the dark. He says, what do I do but grab some bear grass, light it up? I said, what in the world is bear grass? Yeah. It's a thing out in the Midwest. So if you live there, you probably know about it. So much use. Native Americans used it for baskets. It's also edible if you boil it up and eat
bear
it.
Grass.
Bear grass.
Never
But the
heard
other
of
thing,
this.
it's got this sappy resin on the outside that's very, very flammable. Smells horrible, but you grab a bunch of it, light it up, creates
Smoke
a
it
good fire. So he uses that. So if somebody's like, man, if only we had some candles in here, somebody turn up the lights, something like that, you can say, man, if only we had some bear grass.
Give me some bear grass in it.
Exactly. Bear grass lights it up. Ways of life in the 1860s, you know? Don't do it anymore. Number two, dog's personality.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, we talked about
This
it.
is my personal favorite section of the week.
People I see all the time, people are like, what would you do at a party? It's like, oh, I'd be the one petting the dog. Would you, though?
Yeah.
If there's a dog at the party, talk about different temperaments, selecting a dog, and really what's important about it. Not so much the breed, but it's how the dog reacts to things, because they're all different.
They're all different. You can have the smart, dumb breeds and dumb, smart breeds. It's all.
Which one are you?
Oh, man. I'm almost certainly a dumb, smart breed.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
Anyways, the other thing that
hold on. That's unfair. Which one are you?
I don't know what they mean.
I picked one.
It's dumb. I'm smart. I'm the other one.
There you go.
The opposite. So this kid Travis used some fun phrases that you should also use at this party, just as a little addendum to the personality. One thing he said when something didn't make sense, he was like, he didn't have any more sense than a red ant in a hot skillet. Because why would a red ant be in a hot skillet? And then the other thing, if you're nervous about something, he said his heart was beating like a catfish in a wet sack.
It's waiting for whatever's next.
And then this is pretty savage. The dude that came up and was like, that's my dog.
Yeah.
And I'll trade him for a nice meal by this pretty lady. Really misogynistic.
He comes back in the end. He's like, you killed my dog.
He never showed up again, thank God. But yeah, wouldn't that be tragic?
He comes back up. You've been blowing
Well,
the dog.
I'm back.
Actually, I didn't realize how important that dog was to my son. Anyway, oh my God.
Hydrophobia. So he eats this huge meal. And then Travis is like, he wouldn't have any trouble throwing a shadow on the ground after that, implying he got really fat.
He got big.
But that's kind of a thing you could say about somebody if you want to be mean. Number three, expectation building suspense. Storytelling at your parties. You got a story to tell? It seems like you're messing yourself up, but when people say, oh, guys, you're never going to believe this. And then that's the wrong expectation because people are expecting never to believe it. But if you say, this crazy thing happened, I lost my wallet, and then such and such, and then tell the story, people are waiting for that. They want to know how it happens. Tease it a little bit. That's what this book does really well. I didn't realize at the beginning that it said Old Yeller dies at the end.
Right.
And so the whole book, you're like, oh my God.
It's like, Sheena threw my wallet off the top of the building. It's like, but it started downstairs when first Tim shoved her because,
Yeah. Build the suspense. Go out tonight and tell a suspenseful story that doesn't even really have any suspense, but just build it up by starting from the beginning.
Start at the... We'll start at the beginning or start at the end? I thought...
Well, say the end.
Yeah.
And then start at the beginning. Sorry to be so confusing. I'm a dumb, smart dog, all right?
And I'm the other one.
Number 4. Hydrophobia. Did you know that swallowing takes 50 muscles?
50?
Yeah.
50?
50.
Wow.
And rabies doesn't allow you to do it. I just never knew anything about hydrophobia and rabies.
No.
I don't really know how to segue that into a party conversation. You're drinking.
Yeah.
You drink at parties. You say, man.
You couldn't do that if you had
hydrophobia. Thank God I don't have hydrophobia.
Yeah,
right
thank
now.
God I don't have a hydrophobia because I am parched. Glug, 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 glug. And they'll go, what's hydrophobia? Are you afraid of water? It's like, actually, I shot my dog.
Yeah. Number 5. Book of the Month Club. Join if you want. Or tell somebody about it if they're like, man, I really should get into reading. You can say, well, there's this thing, Book of the Month Club, been around since the 20s.
It was a
They put
hot
out-
list.
They
It
put
was
out bangers.
all-star.
And if you were like,
Catcher in
I
the
really
Rye?
want to get in on books, but I don't want to pick them. I don't have time for that, but I want them to be good.
Mm-hmm.
$15 a month. You all are already subscribed to a million
yeah.
things. Get rid of Hulu Plus or whatever the hell you got.
Who needs Tidal?
Yeah. What is that?
That's Jay-Z's Spotify.
That's just Jay-Z.
Basically, it's basically so that he can release.
Yeah,
it
whoever
in
the hell
Beyonce's
has
movie.
Tidal, get
Whoever-
rid of that.
You don't need Tidal. You need Book of the Month Club. It's been around since 1926, throwing out hot titles like Catcher in the Rye and
Gone with the
We
Wind.
don't know
Every single year. And I like that they hit up the new artists, the fresh tracks.
yeah, they
The
were
good
on the cut.
books.
They were on the
They're like,
beating pulse of what was going on.
Yeah, we're going to check it out.
This is good. This is not good. Watch this person become a literary god. It's basically
Because
what
of
they're about to
us.
say. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Well, I learned a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm not sad.
I mean, that's...
I thought I was going to be more sad.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. I hope that you're not sad either,
Yeah,
whoever you are listening to this.
but sometimes you have to be, and that makes you appreciate all facets when it's up and when it's down. When you have to.
And that's Old Yeller. in
and
a
really,
nutshell.
yeah, it is. All right, to recap.
Number 1, ways to make you sound cooler at parties. Way of life in the 1860s. Talk about bear grass. Number 2, dog's personality.
They're unique.
Talk about it. Number 3, expectation building suspense. Start at the end. Mention what you're going to get to
Yeah, it's funny because you feel like you're undercutting yourself, but maybe it's more engaging that way.
and get to it. Get right to it. Number 4, hydrophobia. Grab a drink, say, man, thank God I don't have this. Number 5,
50 muscles.
I can use them all. Number 5, Book of the Month Club. Join it. Get rid of title.
Get rid of title. That's really what I want.
Yeah. And there we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, y'all. It's been a blast. This is Evan.
This is Taylor.
This is illiterate.
I'm a smart dumb dog.
And I'm the opposite.
See
I'm
y'all
the other one.
See y'all soon.
Bye. Hooey! Also,
Speaking of dead dogs,
if you want more, Taylor has another great little show that I'm not involved with, but it is fantastic. It's called
The Dog is Dead. You can find it on all other podcasting places.
Anyway You Get Your Podcasts.
Fictional storytelling. Every episode starts with the same line, the dog is dead, and then branches off completely differently from there. Pirates, romance, adventure, all sorts of different stories.
It's enchanting.
and it's
magical.
my
It's great.
voice. If at the very least you like my voice,
Yeah,
give
if
it
you
a
like
shot.
Taylor's voice, it's worth it just for that.
The Dog is Dead.